Problem 22-38, we're going to create an operating budget, which is the first part of the master budget. So before we can talk about this problem, let's review the master budget really quick. So this is a screenshot from our PowerPoint showing the master budget components. So the three main components of the master budget are the operating budget here in green, the capital expenditures budget, and then the financial budget, which is the cash budget. Budgeted income statement, budgeted balance sheet, and the budgeted statement of cash flows. But in this problem, we're only going to be doing the operating budget. And the operating budget starts with the sales budget. So in the sales budget, we forecast how many sales we're going to make, how many units we will make or sell, and what the sales revenue will be. And once we figure out how many we think we will sell, we need to figure out how many we will produce. And we can tell that this is operating budget from a manufacturer because there's direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. So once we figure out how many products we need to produce, we can figure out how much direct materials we will need to have on hand and what our direct labor budget and our manufacturing overhead budget. Then after we do those three, we can figure out our cost of goods sold budget and then our selling and administrative expense budget. So in this problem, we will be creating the quarterly operating budget, which starts with a sales budget. Now notice it says where the quarter ended March 31st, 2025, right here. So when we need the beginning balances for this quarter's budget here, we will use the ending balances of the previous quarter, which are in here. So that December 31st, 2025, that's the previous quarter. So these ending balances here for December 31st, 2025, we might need for the beginning balance for this quarter here. So we're going to start with the sales budget because the sales budget drives everything else. We don't know how many products to produce unless we know how many we think we will sell. So this company is a batting company. They manufacture wood baseball bats. So Selma Batting Company's two primary products are a youth baseball bat designed for children and young teens and an adult baseball bat designed for high school and college-aged players. So notice down here youth bats and adult bats. And Selma Batting Company sells the bats to sporting goods stores and all sales are on account, so accounts receivable AR. The youth bat sells for $35, the adult bat sells for $65. Selma Batting Company's highest sales volume is in the first 3 months of the year, as retailers prepare for the spring baseball season. Selma Batting Company's balance sheet for December 31st, 2025, and other data for the first quarter of 2026 follow. And then here is our other data. Put that over here. So now we have to figure out how many bats we think we will sell. So if you see the word budgeted, that means forecasted or projected. So we think for our youth baseball bats that we're going to sell 1,500. So we can input that here for youth baseball bats, budgeted bats to be sold. And then we have 3,000 adult bats that we think we're going to sell. So we'll add that in here for 3,000 under adult bats. And then we can go ahead and add these together for a total of 4,500 bats that we think we are going to sell. And then we need to figure out the sales price per unit down here. So for our youth baseball bats, it said we sell them for $35 per unit, so that's going to be $35. And then the sales price for the adult bats is right after the $65, so we can go ahead and add that in there. And it looks like the total here is blanked out, so we don't have to worry about that. And scroll down. And then to get the total sales, we're going to take the budgeted bats to be sold times that sales price per unit. So in this case for the youth bats, we're going to take 1,500 times 35, and that is going to give us 52,500. And then for the adult bats, we're going to do the same. We're going to take the budgeted bats to be sold times the sales price per unit. So that's 3,000 bats to be sold times the sales price of 65. And that is going to give us 195,000. And then we can add the total sales across here, the 52,500 plus 195,000 for a grand total of 247,500. And that is 247,500 projected sales revenue from bats. So now we know how many bats we're going to sell in the next budget, which is a production budget. And we need to figure out how many we need to make. And in that video, we will also need to factor in, well, how many bats do we already have in inventory? So that is it for our first video here. So I'll close out of these and check our answers so far. Nice work.